Have your squire ready you for battle as we look at this week's
Initial codes. Part 1. Initial codes. Part 1. Initial codes.
Hello again, Trekkies! Today we're looking at the 8th episode of Strange New Worlds, the Elysian Kingdom. We've got a lot to unpack this week, and at the end, I'll draw a more firm conclusion of my first watches by giving episodes an initial ranking range against the other nearly 800 episodes of live-action Trek. I don't think I've done a very good job of conveying my overall level of enjoyment of an episode, and hopefully this helps. The like-dislike system is only helpful versus other episodes of a particular season, and it's only meant to call attention to things I really enjoy or find particularly weird. I'd also like to address my completely missing Aspen/Angel's they pronouns last week. I never caught on to the non-binary nature of the character or actress, and I'd like to retract my use of the she pronoun from the previous episode. Sometimes I just miss things with a single watch at 2 a.m. Still, absolutely love Angel's outfit. Which segues us into my first of many likes for this episode. Strange New Worlds is absolutely crushing it in the wardrobe department this season. Uhura's dress and finger jewelry, absolutely amazing in this episode as the evil queen in this story that feels like it's a classically hokey episode of Star Trek. Done in a truly satisfying, cheeky way, with some very nice closure of the M'Benga's sick daughter Rukia's plotline. He continues the story he's reading her, and I've got a gigantic like for the story being authored by Benny Russell. This brings up more questions than it answers about whether or not the entirety of Star Trek is just a work of fiction within a work of fiction inside Benny's mind. Before the entity at the end, named Deborah, was revealed, I almost thought we were going to get an Avery Brooks as Mr. Russell cameo. Alas, perhaps in Picard Season 3, we'll find out why Jean-Luc is holding on to the smashed Reckoning tablet. Anyway, the book itself, The Kingdom of Elysian, isn't quite a meaningful callback, but Kirk in the animated series encountered the Elysians in an alternate dimension in a pocket of time. When Enterprise is done surveying a nebula, I've got a like for Pike, saying the thing. And the thing doesn't happen. Rather than hitting it, Deb from accounting has other plans for the Enterprise. As M'Benga goes to the bridge, the ship is transformed into his kid's story with him as the king, and I have a like for Pike's faces in this episode. Anson Mount gets to do some really fun things here, and he just runs with it. When he calls for the court jester, I really wanted Chief Kyle in a classic clown hat. As M'Benga tries to put together what's going on, he goes to sickbay and we meet Witch Doctor Chapel, who's a fun distraction. However, here's my one and only dislike for the episode, and it's for La'an, not the actress. Like Pike, she also took what the writers gave her and ran with it. But the unnecessary vocal training and clapping this cute little dog's paws are where I draw the line with the silliness of the episode. Let's turn to another like for the Swamp of Infinite Death. No great medieval children's story doesn't have a swamp of sadness filled with drowning horses or a fire swamp full of ROUSs. We learn that Hemmer is the only member of the crew besides M'Benga that knows things aren't right. He's blocking out the telepathic reach of Deb in the nebula, and I've got a like for one of the funniest things I've seen in Star Trek in a while. His over-the-top casting a spell, transporting Uhura and her entourage away, is just a wonderful use of his engineering talent. I've got a like for Una and Ortega's characters knowing each other well. More hilarious fun that makes me love these characters even more. In the end, it turns out the Mercury Stone the Queen's looking for in the story is actually Rukia, and this is where it goes from zany antics to a really serious ending to a terminally ill child story. M'Benga finds his daughter cured, but it turns out it's not permanent. She can stay here as pure energy in the nebula, and like Benny Russell, create her own stories with Deborah. This is another brilliant like, as she comes back moments later as an older version of herself to let her dad know all was well. And the closing on an empty chair in sickbay was very touching. Strange New Worlds finally did a really zany episode of Star Trek well, which is something it's struggled to do in past iterations. It tells a fun story, and ties back to a plot thread we've been fed over the course of the season. Thumbs up to the writers on this one. While I may change my mind down the road on my show ranking every episode of Star Trek, after a single watch, I'd pencil this one in between 200 and 300 out of nearly 800 episodes in the Star Trek franchise. It was the most fun Trek may have ever had without being too overly annoying. Let's quickly do this for the past 7 episodes as well. The Serene Squall I'd rank between 250 and 350. Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach between 500 and 600. Spock Amok between 350 and 450. Memento Mori between 250 and 350, Ghosts of Illyria between 150 and 250, Children of the Comet comes in between 250 and 350, and The Pilot comes in between 300 and 400. Look for the best and worst 5 Garrick Moments video on Friday. I'll see you again next Thursday as we get strange with some new worlds. Until then, I've been your host, Dustin Wing.